Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for watching my video today. Now, the NFL playoffs are fast approaching. They're actually starting tomorrow at the time of this recording, so I'm a bit behind the eight ball on my NFL playoff prediction coverage, but I'm going to get it in here nonetheless because I really think this is going to be a really fun NFL playoffs and a really interesting round one. I think the themes we've had the last few weeks, a really interesting last 2 weeks of the season, I would say. It all boiled down to that Chargers versus Raiders game last Sunday night, which had pretty much everyone talking about on Twitter, on social media, all that kind of stuff. But there's also a lot of other interesting games the past few weeks as well. But it all leads up to this really fun round one, and I'm really excited to give my predictions here today. Now, starting off with the AFC, the Titans, they were able to secure the 1 seed despite all the adversity they had to go through this year. Last year's leading rusher, he probably would have been this year too. Derrick Henry, he's been out since the middle of the season, although he's expected to come off injured reserve for this playoff run and this extra week off. Now they have the bye is really going to help them there. The Titans also had to deal with a lot. I mean, they set the NFL record for 91 players played in on a single team in a single season because of all the COVID and injuries they had. That's why I think Mike Vrabel is probably the easy coach of the year favorite. As much as I've loved what Matt LaFleur's done with filling in for injured guys, Mike Vrabel's done that to a much larger extent than Matt LaFleur. And he's overcome stuff like Ryan Tannehill's struggles without Arthur Smith. He's overcome the failed Julio Jones trade. He's overcome the absences of Henry and A.J. Brown and all kinds of stuff. I think Taylor Lewan was injured as well at one point. So the Titans really earned that 1 seed by just grinding out these really tough wins every week. So it'll be interesting to see who will face them in round two. So getting into the first round playoffs. So first of all, the Chiefs will be hosting the Steelers in the 2-7 matchup, and I think this is by far the most obvious prediction that anyone can make for this weekend. I'd be surprised if anyone besides the utmost diehard Steelers fans out there are picking the Steelers this week. The Chiefs are probably just going to lay the smackdown on them. The Steelers players, coaches, fans should be mailing letters of thank you notes to both Brandon Staley for his idiotic timeout, costing the Chargers that thrilling Sunday night game that we really thought was going to tie. And the Raiders were probably going to tie the game and get both teams in the playoffs, but Staley messed it up. And then also Carson Wentz. They should be thanking Carson Wentz for his abominable performance against the Jags. That was just, I was really shocked by that. I thought the Colts were actually going to have a good shot at making a little run in the playoffs, and it wasn't to be. But nonetheless, the Chiefs, I think they take advantage of a really lackluster Steelers offense, to say the least. The Steelers' defense is really good, but I think Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, they've been here before. I might be remembering wrong, but I feel like they've beaten the Steelers at some point as well. Maybe that was back in 2018, if I'm not. I might be mistaken, but they've had the show off before. So I'm anticipating a Chiefs win here. I don't care that Juju's might be coming back. It's not going to make a difference. So I say Chiefs advance to the second round. Now moving on to the 3-6, it's a matchup we've seen twice already this year because they're division rivals. The Patriots will be hosting the Bills, and just like that first clash that was up in Foxborough, when the Patriots won the game 14-10, it was a Bill Belichick masterclass coaching performance. It was a negative degree weather. All he did was run the ball. Mac Jones passed 3 times, and the Patriots were able to eke out the 14-10 win. Now the second time in Buffalo, the Bills, they were able to get the job done much more convincing fashion than the first game. And Bills are hosting this game again. It's going to be very cold. I think I was seeing negative degrees for the feels like temperature up in Buffalo for this game. And I think the Bills, this is, I think, their 4th appearance in 5 years with McDermott. They've made it every year into the postseason since 2017, barring 2018, which was Josh Allen's rookie season. I think the Bills they just know what to do. This is a young Patriots team. Now, Bill Belichick, he'll be hard on them if they lose the game. And, that's what he should be doing. He's a great coach. He expects greatness. But this is a really young team. You got a rookie quarterback who he's looked really good, but he's still not ready to make a real Super Bowl run. You got a really solid defense, but still, it's not elite. It was the closest thing you can get to elite, but I don't think it's quite yet a Denver 2015 Super Bowl level defense that can just win on its own despite a mediocre offense. You got rookie running back, you got young offensive linemen, young receivers, young secondary players. The Patriots will have their time. I could see them next year making a real run at the Super Bowl, but for now, I think the Bills, they've been here before. They need to get over at least the first round hump. They've done it. They've won in the first round before, but they can't go out in the first round this time. So I think they're going to get a nice earned victory, Josh Allen is just gonna he's gonna bring it. Him and Diggs will be connecting all game. J.C. Jackson and company may try, but I think the Bills will get a nice win here and move on to the second round. Now, finally, this might be my favorite first round matchup in terms of just excitement and the differing styles of both teams. Bengals are hosting the Raiders. The Bengals, they've been red hot. Joe Burrow, he passed for the third most passing yards in a single game. I think it was 525 yards. Knocked me out of my Dynasty Fantasy Football playoffs. He did the same thing a week later. Had another great performance. And then last week he took the week off because the Bengals playoff spot was solidified. As for the Raiders, I touched on their win over the Chargers in that fantastic Sunday night game. The Raiders, so let's just talk about this real fast. All the adversity that they've had to go through. John Gruden getting fired for his email scandal. Henry Ruggs getting cut from the team. They had a couple. Damon Arnett, one of their corners, had a weird situation. And just the fact that this team was not expected to be this good. Their defense got way better. Max Crosby leading the charge on that front. But a lot of other veteran role player guys really stepped up. And the offense, Renfro taking a huge step, becoming kind of the pseudo next Wes Welker out here. Derek Carr had his best year since 2016. I'm always rooting for the Raiders. I always just find myself hoping that they can get back in the playoffs, and they finally did it, even with this goofy intern coach, Rich Pisaccia, at the helm. And if he wins this game, he pretty much earns himself the job. But at the same time, I just can't see this this Raiders team beating the Bengals this week. I think the Bengals just have much more reliable firepower, and I just think that, Zach Taylor, I don't know if he's a great coach, but I think he's shown enough this year that he can win a playoff game against an interim head coach. And the Bengals defense has also really made a step forward this year. And I did a preseason power rankings. I had both of these teams very low on my list, I think in the late 20s. And, it was because of their defenses. Partially, Bengals O-line was also a concern. But both teams, very well coached throughout the year. Even though I don't have a lot of faith in Pisaccia, I think he still did a good job for what he was given. And they exceeded everybody's expectations. But when push comes to shove, I think the Bengals are going to be the better team here. So moving on to the second round, I've got the Titans hosting the Bengals in the 1-4 matchup. And I really think the Titans are going to win this game. They're just like the Bills. They've been here before. They know what they need to do. Derrick Henry's going to have fresh legs. And this Bengals defense is good. They have a good front seven led by Trey Hendrickson. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be the spark the Titans need to reach the AFC Championship once again. They missed out last year going out in the first round, but they were there 2 years ago in Derrick Henry's first real year as the best running back in the NFL. And he still is that in my opinion. So I think his comeback is going to help the Titans grind out another huge win this year and get to the AFC title game. On the other side of the bracket, Chiefs versus Bills. We've seen this before. It was last year's AFC title game. The Chiefs won, and I see a similar result here. When I look at the Bills and the Chiefs, I see the Bills as a very, very good football team, but I see the Chiefs as a great football team. And of course they are. So I'm picking them here. This is going to be their fourth straight AFC title appearance if they do make it that far, and I think they will. If you just go across the roster, Josh Allen's a top-tier quarterback, but Pat Mahomes is top 2 in the entire league. He's already won a Super Bowl, and you just go down the roster. Almost everything the Bills have, the Chiefs have at a slightly higher premium level. The only thing is kind of the secondary, but even then, without Trey White, the Bills don't have as much of an advantage as they might have if everybody was healthy. So I do think the Chiefs will win there, and that sets up a rematch from the 2019 AFC title game, Chiefs versus Titans. And when you look at these rosters, I will grant you that very little has changed in those 2 years. There's a lot of the same players on both sides of the ball, and yet I'm picking a different result than we've seen. I think the Titans are going to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC title game. And maybe this is skewed logic, but I just have felt, even after they got it together late in the season, you even saw it last week against Denver. There's just something about this Chiefs team that while they're still really, really good, they're still a great team, something's not there this year, and I don't know what that little tick is that's throwing them off, but I think that Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, as long as they come to play in that type of game, and as long as Rabel, he had some weird calls in that Ravens first-round loss last year. Actually, did the Titans lose to the Ravens in the first round? Maybe I'm forgetting last year's playoffs. I'm pretty sure the Titans lost very early in the playoffs last year, though. But nonetheless, I do think that the Titans are going to win this time around against the Chiefs. I think their defense has been just shown a lot of grit all year. I keep saying that same word, but it's because that's the only way I can describe this Titans team. It's the best way I can describe it. I think they're going to make their first Super Bowl since 2000 or 1999 season. 2000 year was the Super Bowl, but that's over 2 decades ago. And I think they're finally going to get back here. So